Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Soul Ecosystem Podcast. I am your host, Anna Rising, and on this podcast, we discuss soul contracts, spirituality, past lives, reincarnation, Akashic records, and everything of the like. Today, specifically, we are going to do a small pick-a-card reading in honor of the lunar eclipse that we are having in Virgo. I believe that it's supposed to be the night of March 13th into March 14th. And I've seen a lot of astrologers talk on this, talk about the shifts that are going to be happening for us. So I wanted to do a purely intuitive reading and have you guys pick a number between 1 and 4 to see what kind of shifts you should expect with this lunar eclipse. I'm going to be using the Oracle card deck, Goddesses, Gods, and Guardians. It's one of my favorite and actually recommended by my astrologer. So let's get into the reading. With your heart open, intuitively choose a number between 1 and 4. And once you've done that, if one of the messages sound completely off, I don't know why I feel called to say this. If one of the messages sound completely off, choose another number and see if that message resonates more. And just take what resonates out of the card you picked and leave what doesn't. We are going to start off with card number 1. For card number 1, we have the card Raw. It says, share your gift. And for this card meaning, it says that the perfect time is now, say yes, and show up. I am getting somebody that has been working in the shadows. It almost gives this vibe of a servant that has done their due diligence, like they have gone above and beyond, like serving their master, and they were hoping that their service would be recognized. They were hoping that they'd get like a promotion. And I'm seeing it's like you have been so careful, you have been so diligent, even though your other coworkers or your other servants have been talking crap about the queen or the boss. You have stayed true to them, you've been faithful to them, and you've kind of been doing so much work hoping to be recognized for that work. And you've been putting yourself in the shadows intentionally. You kind of haven't wanted to step on any toes. You're the type of person to be like, I'll give somebody else the spotlight. I'll give somebody else their time to shine. And maybe subconsciously, you've always wanted someone else to return that favor for you. You've always wanted somebody else to say, okay, like we always talk about me, or we always focus on me. Let's give you the spotlight for a change. Let's talk about your problems. Maybe you're that friend, the mom friend in the group that is always comforting people, offering advice, and then when it comes time your turn, like there's never enough time to talk about you and to get advice for you. So you're a bit of an underdog. The only problem with that is that you are not supposed to be one. That is not your role. That isn't your place. And you've known this for quite some time because you've been showing people up at work because you know the value that you bring. You know the level of contribution you make. And you're getting really frustrated that it's not being met with that same energy. Now, if there's a part of you that is still trying to wait it out and see when you get that moment, when it's your turn to shine, this card is like telling you all systems go. Like it's saying you are done being the wallflower. You are done being in the shadows. It's your turn to step up and be like, hey, I've been here. I've been doing this, and nobody is seeing my work. Nobody is valuing it. Nobody knows my worth. And it's your turn to start speaking up about it. I feel like I felt this energy before in the past. So whoever this is specifically talking to, I feel like you've been in this energy for a very long time. So, in regards to the Raw card, the card says, what are you waiting for? What do you keep putting off until tomorrow? You're locked in a frustrating cycle of inaction. There it is. And it's holding you back from contributing, creating, and sharing. Ra leads you to his temple and declares, the world needs what you have to give. There's no such thing as the perfect time to share your creations and energy. Have you used every excuse under the sun for why you can't do what you need to do? This procrastination is a smokescreen for your fears. Yes, it can feel very scary to reveal your ideas and talents, but this is what we need from you. Sharing your deepest gift will open the heart of humanity. Don't wait anymore, or you'll be waiting your whole life. Take guided action now, not later. Give generously of your radiant sun's light. It will be returned to you multiplied, and you'll feel more alive than ever before. There are times when patience and more preparation are needed, but not now. This is your definite yes to move forwards and place your gift on the collective sacred altar. You'll never feel completely ready to give your deepest soul gift, so start now. So yes, I'm definitely feeling it with the inaction, not in the sense that you haven't been working in the background. You have been afraid to kind of step out into the spotlight. And this card is telling you that with this lunar eclipse, you are going to be getting a little bit more confident. You are going to be getting a little bit of this fiery energy that is kind of going to kick it into gear for you. And you're going to be like, there is no point in me continuing to wait for somebody to tell me that I'm enough, wait for somebody to tell me that I'm worthy. I'm going to decide that I am. And I'm going to start taking the steps necessary in order to be the version of myself that I've been waiting to be. You have been waiting to shine. You have been waiting to be given the opportunity to show everybody what you can do. And it's time to stop waiting, and it's time to start doing, because there isn't going to be a perfect time or a perfect opportunity for you to step out because it's scary to you. If it wasn't scary to you, if being seen wasn't something that you feared, you would have already done it. So this lunar eclipse is going to give you that push. It might not be so gentle because you've been sitting on this talent and this gift for a long time. It's going to give you that push that you need to leave the things that aren't serving you, to detach from the relationships that aren't serving you, and to focus your energy to where you've been wanting it to go. You've been dying to pour it in to this vision that you have. You just have not had the bravery needed in order to pursue it. And this lunar eclipse is going to change that for you. It's going to be like you drank a spiritual energy drink, and you are going to be hyper motivated and hyper energized to change and align your path into the direction of what it is that you've been waiting to happen for you. Only instead, you're going to be making it happen on your own. You're not going to be waiting for your boss to be like, oh, hey, this person is not in a management position, but they've been doing management level work for the past few years, so maybe we should upgrade them. There's literally one of you that's often overlooked like that in the workplace. So this is the part of the rom-com where you get your makeover, where they take off her glasses and they do her hair and they change her wardrobe. And she comes out and she's like not in her wallflower era anymore. She's in her shining era, her glow up era. So this is the vibe that's coming for you. This imbuement of this energy from the lunar eclipse is going to put that energy into you and help you stop waiting to shine and just do it. Whatever has been on your heart, whatever ideas, whatever things that you've been dying to create, if you've been dying to pick up crocheting and you want to create a little Etsy store with like little crocheted animals, go do that. If you love jewelry, if you love pottery, this is your time to really focus your mind on what it is that you want to create and bring that into fruition, because you're going to have the energy to do that. You're going to have the impatience to do that because you've been very, very patient up till this point. You're going to have this energy of like, okay, I've waited long enough. It's time for this to happen now. And that is going to kind of be the fire under your butt that you need in order to bring this gift that you have about and share it with the world. I saw a post on Instagram, I can't remember by who, but they were explaining that they saw this vision of how business is going to change for the collective going forwards, 2025 and forwards. And they saw a vision of a man selling flowers outside of a mall. And there's a huge, huge line, huge demand for what this man was selling. It wasn't because like he marketed it well or because nobody else was selling flowers. It was literally because that was his soul's purpose. That was what gave him joy. And what gives your soul joy is going to bring about that same level of attention from others. It's going to bring about that same level of attraction and magnetism because you are doing something from your soul, with your soul, and you live off of it, like you thrive off of it. So that is what you should hold in your heart when you think about what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to put forth into the universe, into the collective, and know that as long as your heart is behind it, as long as you're doing something that gives your soul joy, it is going to bless you abundantly. So that's the energy you're working with. If you feel any resistance towards it, if you feel any resistance like, oh my gosh, but I can't do this right now, I can't do that. Yeah, the card mentioned that. The card mentioned that you have been using every excuse under the book not to do it at this moment, but this is what you're being called to do. And this is why you're going to notice that increase in energy in order for you to pick this up, in order for you to start getting this going. You're going to find that you might not be able to tolerate people at your job anymore, or you might not be able to tolerate your job anymore. It might be absolutely unbearable to you. And if that is the case, that is your sign to start creating. Start creating not from a place of lack, not from a place of, I need to quit my job, so I need to get this side project going in order to make up for the income. Start creating from a place of, this brings me great joy. This is my purpose. This is what I want to do for others. And see how far that is going to take you. So very beautiful message for you, group number 1. I think that's about it. I am going to start on group number 2s. Group number 2, have you moved somewhere recently, or are you about to? Because this card that popped up here, Nemetona, it talks about laying down roots and belonging someplace. So this lunar eclipse is actually going to bring about a very healthy version of yourself. This is somebody that is going to be much stronger in her boundaries and somebody that will be working on creating a safe space for herself. So in the past, you might have been very lenient with your boundaries. You might have set them and kind of let people test them and let them walk all over them. But this lunar eclipse is going to bring this shift for you where that is no longer going to be possible for you. You're going to see why it's so important for you to place those boundaries and keep them. So this may bring about certain conflicts, but they're not going to be difficult to handle if you stick to your boundaries, if you stick to what you say you're going to do. Like, I'm not going to tolerate somebody speaking to me that way. If that happens again, I'm going to walk out of this room. Like, we're not going to continue this conversation. So I see this lunar eclipse kind of giving you back your footing. You might have felt very ungrounded and very unstable as of late. You might have felt, you kind of feel like you're on a boat and the waves are going crazy all around you, and you're so tired of being rocked back and forth because your emotions have been so back and forth, so up and down, and it has been exhausting for you. So whatever you're dealing with, it sounds like it's taken a very big emotional toll on you. So this lunar eclipse is kind of going to charge up your boundaries. You're going to have this aha moment about how to deal with a certain conflict and realize that, okay, this is trying to teach me to be a safe space for myself. Because when you don't listen to your boundaries, when you don't listen to your inner voice, where you feel very unsafe in somebody's presence, you are betraying yourself. You are making your inner child feel unsafe because they're like, this person isn't safe. This person isn't safe. We need to get out of here. And the adult version of you might want to be like, oh, but it's going to be rude if I just walk out on this date, even though this guy's totally creeping me out. You're making your inner child feel unsafe. So you'll notice that this lunar eclipse is highlighting the importance of prioritizing your safety, prioritizing your inner child's needs, and how to show up for them, how to be like, hey, like, I'm an adult now. I can take care of you. You can trust that I'm not going to let anybody disrespect us. I'm going to not put us in harm's way, and I'm going to stand up for us. So there's a really deep focus on that. I'm going to read what exactly the card says from the little guidebook. It says, become quiet and listen, for Nemetona is leading you into her sacred grove. I'm bringing you safe and sacred space, she says softly. Your scattered and uprooted energies want a place to call home, both within and without. Do your best to make your dwelling a haven for the soul, no matter how small or temporary your living space may be. If your home hasn't felt secure, call on me to help. Your aura, which is your psychic safe space, can be sensitive to everything to which it's exposed. When it gets overloaded with the weight of the world, retreat to your sanctuary. Meditate and ask every energy that's encroaching upon you to gently leave. Protect your boundaries without guilt. Is it time to find emotional safe space with a therapist or healer? A secure container for processing your feelings may be just what you need. I may soon lead you to powerful sacred sites where ancient trees, stone circles, or outside temples provide a changing encounter with the divine. Sanctify your space and put down roots. You belong here. So have you guys been feeling so unsafe that you're like, I don't belong on this planet. I want to get off of this planet. I am so done with it, because this is the vibe that it's giving off. You feel very, very unsafe. And what this energy wants you to do is start practicing making safe spaces for yourself. If you don't have a little altar or some kind of routine in the mornings or in the evenings before you go to bed, where you can kind of unwind and meditate in order to rebalance yourself and kind of calm down your nervous system, I'd highly recommend that, because it sounds like Nemetona is really trying to get you to draw those boundaries, protect your energy, cleanse your energy in order to not be so rocked back and forth by everything that happens around you, and in order to honor yourself and your sacred space, your safe space. So work on creating that safe space within yourself and outside of yourself. Once you come out of this, once you learn how to feel safe in your body again and be able to trust yourself, be able to trust that the adult version of you is going to be able to take themselves out of uncomfortable, dangerous situations, all of this turmoil, all of this footing that you feel like you haven't had is going to appear. And you can ask her for her assistance in this process, because she really wants to help you create some stability here in order for you to get out of a fight or flight state. So if you're someone that has a lot of anxiety or starts getting a lot of overwhelming feelings whenever something uncomfortable is happening, you're sensitive to it. You're sensitive to the energy shift, and you are going to be feeling this need to kind of realign yourself. That is what the lunar eclipse is going to be bringing in for you, a realignment where you can feel safe in your body and in your mind. It's really important that that work is done in order for you to not like completely check out of this incarnation and be like, I'm just trying to like survive. I'm just trying to get through the workday, come home, like, and just eat in peace. It's going to be pertinent to you to be able to thrive, to be able to enjoy life, not just go through the motions of it and try to kind of protect yourself from every danger out there. Also, if you have recently moved or if you're planning on moving, don't forget to create that space, that safe space for where you're moving to. Make sure that you cleanse it of any stagnant or old energy. You can sage it, you can Palo Santo it. That safety, that feeling of being held and supported by the universe instead of feeling like things are just like being thrown at you and it's like you're in, oh my gosh, what's one of those things where you're like in this baseball cage and the baseballs are flying at you and you don't have enough time to kind of lob them all out to the other side of the court, field. That's the vibe that I'm picking up. You're very overwhelmed. So there's some energy coming in for you that's going to help you stabilize and maybe become that anxiety blanket, you know, those weighted blankets where it feels so good when it feels like somebody's like hugging you or like holding you. It's going to be like a weighted blanket on your soul. So just know that you are supported by the universe. Your spirit guides are looking out for you and they want to help you through this process because they have seen how heightened all of your senses are. They have seen how it's totally throwing you around. And they want to help you kind of regain control of that and know that you are safe, even though there's lots of different energies floating around. There's lots of different things going on in the world. You are safe. You are held. Don't forget about that because they don't forget about you. If you ever need a sign from your guides that they are there, I saw wind chimes for some reason. You could put some wind chimes up in your house or outside of your house and just take it as them speaking with you whenever they go off because your guides really want you to feel their presence. They want you to feel how loved you are because I feel like you have been feeling very ostracized. You feel like you're the only one going to bat on this. You are the only one battling this out. And it feels very lonely. For some reason, the people around you can't relate to that. They can't understand what it is that you're feeling. They can't understand why you don't feel safe. And it's really just this process that you've been going through where you've not been listening to that inner child. You haven't been listening to that voice that says, I don't feel comfortable around this person. I don't feel comfortable in this environment. You've been brushing it off to the side for so long that you can't trust yourself anymore. You can't trust that you're going to do what's necessary to protect yourself. And that's where this unease is coming from for you. So that is going to start to shift. You are going to feel that support from the universe, and you're not going to be feeling alone anymore. You're about to get a bunch of signs. You're about to see a lot of synchronicities, and whenever you see them, you should start taking that as a sign that you are being held, you're being supported, because that's exactly what's happening. They're going to go out of their way to make sure that through this process, you can find that footing, you can find that grounding and stability that you've been looking for. And it's very important, like it seems the first step to doing that is for you to know that they're always with you. It feels so deeply personal. It feels so deeply personal, that message that they're always with you. It's almost like a parent or a grandparent that passed on that really wants you to know of their presence. Feels like a grandmother. She sees how overwhelmed you are, and she wants you to know that you're not crazy. She understands why you're as overwhelmed as you are. She's saying that she would be too. It feels like there's been a lot of people dismissing you and dismissing what's been happening for you. It feels like there's been people kind of ganging up on you and telling you that you were in the wrong in a certain situation, and your grandma has your back. Your grandma has your back, and she's kind of trying to get you to not care about what they think and focus on yourself. And once you kind of find your footing again, this is going to be very easy to do. And I see your grandma walking with you through this. I feel like she's particularly being called in on this issue. So perhaps it's related to your family. Is it related to an inheritance? I don't know. But yes, start finding your footing. Start balancing your own energy so that you are protected, so that you stop picking up on other people's own problems and own issues and own energy, and stand firmly in what it is that you believe and your truth. That is all I have for you, group number 2. Group number 3. As soon as I saw this one, I was like, oh, they have to go out and buy some crystals. Because the first thing you see is her being in a crystal necklace. The card you got was Epona. And I think I got this card for an intuitive message, the last intuitive message I did, which was interesting. So this card is from all of my nature girlies, all of the people that are very in tune with nature, very in tune with the land that they visit. I feel like you guys can pick up on the energy of the land. I feel like when you were little, you were probably really close to nature spirits, and you've been very respectful, and you honor nature, you honor the sanctity of it. So this lunar eclipse energy is highlighting your need to commune with nature, your need to be in its presence, be outside, connect to the earth. It recharges you, it refuels you. And I see you walking through like fields of wildflowers and picking flowers and really just reveling in the beauty of it. It feels like there's been a land that is calling you, like you are on the path to finding a land that is meant for you. And you're kind of searching for it. You're going to know it when you see it. You're going to know it when your foot kind of steps on it, when you try to ground on it. But you're that type of person. If you're like purchasing real estate or looking for real estate, you really have to, you can't be like those people that like rent an apartment off of the internet, having never stepped into that place. You need to step into it. You need to physically feel the space, feel if the energy is off. And this lunar eclipse is going to be magnifying that, like putting a very heavy emphasis on your connection to nature and to spirit. I see you making plans of building a house in your mind's eye. Like you're kind of like motioning your hands, and as you motion them, like parts of the house is being built and you're kind of dictating how that goes. So it feels like there's this call to start manifesting. If you haven't been, there's this call to start manifesting what it is that you want to come to call in for yourself. This lunar eclipse is going to be strengthening your powers of manifestation on a whole other level. It feels like everything that you see in your mind's eye that you want to manifest in your mind's eye is going to be coming into your life exponentially fast. So they want to work with you. Your guides want to work with you. The universe wants to work with you to start making your dreams a reality. And I'm hearing it's because this land that is meant for you trusts you so much. So you might be one of the types that wants to have a chicken coop and wants to raise goats and have a lot of animals on their land. and take care of it, like plant things, take care of things, maybe have your own garden and be really self-sustainable, almost like a homestead kind of life. And I see you kind of crafting this life for yourself with such intention that the universe really wants to bring that forward for you. So for Epona, it says that this is a sign to enter swiftly into the healing power of nature. You need to connect with the magic that lies within trees, plants, water, and crystals. You're being guided towards a special natural setting, this land, to relax your body and engage your spirit. This is going to be a bit of a spiritual awakening for you once you get this land, once you start living on this land and taking care of it. I feel like it's going to jumpstart another awakening of yourself to yourself. And it says, be open to receiving a message delivered through your feelings and intuition. So I feel like when you're going to be on this land, your intuition is going to be like a laser, like as sharp as a laser beam. Epona says, you're a crystal and nature healer. The jewels of the earth are calling to you. They bring spiritual connection and reattune you to magical powers. Listen to the messages given by trees, streams, flowers, plants, and crystals. They hold vital keys to protecting Mother Gaia. They're also essential for your well-being and spiritual path right now. So I had a feeling that one of these was going to be like for a healer. And it feels like this is the healer pile. This is the healer pile. You were meant to work with nature, work with plants, crystals, animals in order to bring about healing for the earth and for people. The elementals, nature spirits, as fairies, pixies, water sprites, and mermaids, are deeply concerned about environmental damage and climate change. There's a message they wish to get through to you about this crucial issue. If you're already involved in eco-activist projects, consider this card a thank you and a please keep going message from us. We know how deeply concerned you are about environmental issues. You can make a difference. Please continue with your much needed efforts. Take regular breaks in nature and you'll hear us cheering you on. That just made me so happy. That just warmed my heart. So yeah, you're very much almost a nature spirit yourself. You belong in nature. And this connection to this land that you are seeking out is going to exponentially increase that connection that you have and help you with your soul's purpose. It's going to bring you to your soul's purpose and help fulfill it. This is so exciting because I feel that potential that you have inside of you get magnified once you are on this piece of land that's kind of calling you. It might be a state, it might be a country that you just cannot stop thinking about. You're like, I really want to go here. I really want to experience living here. So if you had like a really strange desire out of nowhere to uproot your life and kind of move somewhere else because you want to be on that land, this is what it's talking about. You have such a beautiful soul. I just want to say, like, a very empathic, sensitive soul. And I feel like this fieriness to it because you want to protect it. You want to protect nature. You want to kind of create a little sanctuary for yourself in nature. And this is what the lunar eclipse is going to be calling in for. So take the time you need to manifest because your manifestations are going to be coming into fruition really fast. And if you have your heart set on moving to a different country or a different state because you feel like that's where you belong, you feel like that's what's calling you, you're going to see doors opening in order for you to be able to do that. So don't worry about the how, don't worry about the logistics of it. You are going to see that when the universe wants to gift you with something, when the universe is like, okay, it's time for you to make this move, you're going to notice how fast it conspires in order to make it happen for you. And that is all I have for you, group number 3. We are moving on to group number 4. Group number 4. You have Persephone. as your card. It's a very beautiful card. I absolutely adore her dress and all the flowers on it. And this is a card of new beginnings. It's a time of complete renewal and rebirth. And it wants to highlight that you have the power to create light-filled change. So this is actually the card pile I chose for myself. I forgot to pick a card for myself last time, to pick a number before I flipped them all over. So I'm like, oh no, it's not going to be as accurate. Or I'm going to just be swayed to the one that looks more positive, But I remembered this time. I remembered thinking, okay, number 4 is going to be for me. And yeah, it's Persephone and it's talking about new beginnings and rebirth. And this is on point with my Virgo rising. For Virgo risings out there, this lunar eclipse is going to bring about rebirth. And personally, I've already felt that shift. It started a week ago for me, beginning of March. I kind of feel a little bit more sure of myself and sure of the direction that I'm supposed to go in. It kind of feels like the clouds have lifted off of the path, and that I'm just going to start walking until I get where it is that I'm supposed to be getting to. But in regards for you guys, here is the message that Persephone is trying to give us. You may feel lost, exhausted, afraid, or shrouded in darkness, but Persephone is here to say, don't give up. She reminds you of the dual feminine powers of diving underground only to rise up again, totally renewed. Perhaps it feels as though something in your life is ending or breaking down. Yet Persephone invites you to see things differently, as an opportunity for magical new beginnings. It will pay off now to dig as deep as you can into your soul for a fresh start. Make the effort to create positive change and it will reward you. Like a phoenix rising, you're a skilled alchemist who can begin over and over again in life, creating stronger foundations, soul-inspired work, and enriched relationships. You have what it takes to ascend into spring, taking deep spiritual lessons from the underworld with you. This is as on point as it gets, guys, because it's literally about to be spring. I'm feeling so revitalized now that daylight savings is over and it's gotten so light outside, and I don't remember when spring starts, but we're coming up on spring. We've made it out of the dark winter, and you might feel completely drained and exhausted, but here is where our energy picks up. And it is time for us to get back into our empowered states, because we may have been feeling a little bit victimized by our external situations, by our internal situations. And Persephone kind of wants us to see that when we get down on ourselves, when we start feeling all of the feelings, when we start to process things that have happened in the past, it may feel like you're taking a step backwards. It may feel to you like, I have to do this again, like I was just done with this cycle. And it feels like you're going deeper into the ground. It feels like you're kind of in a swamp and you're drowning in it instead of growing and rising. But Persephone is showing us what happens when you put a seed in the ground. It looks bleak and dark for a while, but then you start to grow and finally you break the surface and you're able to emerge as what it is that you were meant to be. And this is what the lunar eclipse is calling in for you. It is that emergence from the deep dark soil, from having sat in your trauma, having sat in your feelings and processed the generational cycles that you've been breaking, and you have finally broke ground. You've finally made it out of the ground, and now there's like a sprout. And you're ready to take on the world. You're ready to start growing into the person that you need to be. And you guys might have felt that energetically. You might have felt that shift energetically already, where you feel like you've been reborn, you've been renewed. And it is your turn to start. It is time for you to see how far you can grow. It's time for you to see the heights that you can reach, because you've come out of this slumber, you've come out of this winter, this hibernation where you've been processing all of the things, and the resistance isn't there anymore. There's no soil to break through anymore. So with this newfound identity, and you are a person that goes through a lot of identity shifts. I know in my soul contract, for me, it says that I'm a person that kind of is always in a state of like a phoenix rebirthing itself. And the most important thing to remember as you've done another kind of stage of rebirth is to not hinder yourself, not hold yourself back with old stories, old programs about who you can be and how far you can go, because that's going to hold you back. So in this stage, at this time, this month, you are going to have to really give yourself a lot of TLC, do all of the face masks, do all the self-care stuff, do all of the shadow work that you've felt you haven't done yet, things that you haven't processed yet. Maybe there are themes that are recurring in your life and you're like, I need to figure out a way to deal with this before I come into the next step of my journey. Address those now so you don't have to address them when you're in the middle of trying to manage your growth. This kind of reminds me of that Office episode where Andy was trying to motivate the office in order to do a lot of sales. So he made the system where the motivator was him getting a tattoo of whatever they agreed to. And then they were able to reach that goal, goal he had set so fast that he had to call the author of the book that he read about how to create growth. And he's like, how do you go back? How do you manage like too much growth? How do you unmotivate people to grow? That's the situation it reminds me of. And I just gave like a very poor recollection of that scene, but that's what it feels like. It feels like you're going to be coming into a lot of energy in a few months, and you want to not overwhelm yourself with having to deal with things that you could easily deal with now. You also might feel like you need to heal something in order to get that reward, to get that growth, and that is not the case. That growth is going to be there for you, whether you are ready for it or not, whether you have healed or not. You're always going to be in a state of healing. So there's not going to be a part of you that's ever completely healed, completely done with all of the external and internal BS. Like there's always going to be something to heal, something to grow through. So it's kind of like the same principle as fear. You have to do things scared. You have to do things unhealed as well. Because if you're constantly waiting for yourself to heal, to be fully healed, you're never going to reach that point. This reminds me of what Phil Good posted recently. He's one of my favorite intuitives. He said that you don't have to be healed in order to be in a relationship. The relationship itself is what brings about healing. And that was so wild for me, guys. I've always felt like before I get that job or that position or that relationship, I have to heal different parts of myself, but you heal along the way. It's almost like you set unattainable goals for yourself. And in this, you're kind of holding yourself back because you think that you have to look a certain way. You have to be a certain way. You have to act a certain way in order to achieve what it is that you want to achieve. But you should know that all of these things aren't coming from you. All of these ideas of what you should be, it's not coming from you. It's your interpretation of what success looks like. It's your interpretation of what a healthy relationship looks like. The reason that this rebirth is necessary, the reason that you keep being called to reinvent yourself is because you need to drop all of these ideas that were put into your head in order to come back to who you are. Your idea of success, your idea of a healthy marriage, your idea of a healthy relationship, and a successful life might be completely different from somebody else's. Just in group 3, we were looking at this energy of somebody that wants to live a homestead life. They want to have their own animals. They want to be able to plant their own crops and be self-sufficient. That is the idea of success to them. That is what they aspire to do. And your idea of success might look vastly different. It might look like living in a city in a high-rise apartment. This reinvention and rebirth is drawing you back into your heart space, because once you have that renewal, you kind of come back inside yourself and you start realizing what's important for you. It's kind of like a conference meeting. It's kind of like your higher self is calling a conference meeting, and it's like, okay, we need to refocus. We need to see what's working for us, see what's not, and go based off of there. So imagine your higher self holding a conference meeting with you and being like, okay, you think that you have to do this and this and this to be successful. That hasn't worked. That's not aligned with our path. And your higher self kind of has to do this reframe with you, work with you, and try to realign you and get you closer to your actual identity, closer to who you are as your higher self. And the faster we kind of drop the expectations that we put on ourselves, the faster we let go of control and the need for something to happen, the need for it to look a certain way, the faster it can come in for us. Because what we want wants us. And we kind of have to drop the preconceived notions of how it's supposed to come about and let it just come about. So that is the energy that's coming in for you, group number 4. And for me, it's a little bit of a reframing. But when we do that, when we let go of the reins of control, that is when the universe can actually start working with us. And that's what the lunar eclipse is bringing in for us. That is what the universe is asking us. So it is time we stopped backseat driving. It's time we stopped driving at all and let the universe take over. So whatever you've been trying to call in, whatever you've been trying to manifest, and you're like, I've done all of the things. I have done all of the vision boards. I have done all of the manifestations, all of the courses, all of the meditations, all of the past life trauma, reincarnation stuff, all of the Akashic records. And it's like still not budging. It's because it's time to let go. Let go and trust. And I feel in my heart my own resistance to that. I feel in my heart your resistance to that. It's not always what we want to hear. We want to hear that, oh, it's coming and it's going to happen for you by this and this time. Just trust. It'll happen when it's meant to happen. And the universe wants it to be a surprise. And that's annoying, but that's okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. Let me know if that resonated, and let me know what card you picked and if it rings true for you. And I hope you guys have a very comfortable shift in energy with this lunar eclipse. I cannot wait to see how this shift manifests for you. If you guys wanted to purchase a soul contract, you can do so at my Etsy shop, The Soul Ecosystem, or on my website, thesoulecosystem.com. Like, follow, subscribe. I put out episodes every Friday. Thank you guys so much for listening, and have a wonderful weekend.